A silent formation of 30 people. That was the first phrase that rose in Lin Yao's mind when he saw the circular space. 30 candidates stood around the stone platform, each one placed at the same distance from the next. Gray-black lines beneath their feet connected into a huge circular military command array. Every person's lips had been sealed by black lines. It was not a physical gag. It was a rule gag. They could not say their names. They could not say refusal. They could not say withdrawal. They could not even make a sound to ask for help. But they could still hear. They could still see. They could still be afraid. This was crueler than command recitation. Because Luo Wence was not making them shout slogans over and over. He had first stripped away every other voice, leaving behind only the final sentence he intended to use. Voluntary. Fang Zhiyan stood outside the doorway, his face so pale it looked almost bloodless. He could hear that silence. Inside the silence were many broken words. Little sister. Debt. Save me. No. My name is. None of those words had been spoken aloud. They had all been pressed behind the black lines. Fang Zhiyan's hand began to tremble. Zhan pressed a hand on his shoulder. Don't get dragged into it. Fang Zhiyan clenched his teeth and nodded. Luo Wence looked at Fang Zhiyan, and a trace of interest appeared in his eyes. B11. You have recovered better than I estimated. Fang Zhiyan's face went white. But this time, he did not collapse. He raised his head. His voice was hoarse, but steady. My name is Fang Zhiyan. You know that. Luo Wence smiled. I do. But the designation B11 can still trigger your residual response. That is the value of a mark. Lin Yao said coldly, and that is why you must be assigned responsibility. Luo Wence turned toward Lin Yao. Responsibility assignment? You want to judge me? This is not judgment. Lin Yao opened the register of responsibility. This is separating the things you have done from the evolution you keep claiming they are. Language contamination. Numbering to conceal names. Agreement inducement. Backup erasure. Silent gagging. Forcing living people into a military command army. Every item that landed in the register of responsibility made the military command lines in the circular space tremble. Luo Wence was not afraid. Instead, he seemed faintly pleased. Good. The more complete you are, the more complete my comparison becomes. The third level needs to see not only my military command, but also your resistance. Otherwise, it will not know which rule is more suitable for the future. Lin Yao's gaze darkened. Luo Wence truly was not simply trying to stop Obsidian Village. He was using Obsidian Village to make the third level complete a judgment. If he could still make the 30 people complete a military command declaration under Obsidian Village's resistance, then the value of the Black Tide military command would become even higher. That was his true goal. Song Yuan said in a low voice, the silent formation of 30 people is a rule submission array. Once they speak at the same time, the third level will record it. Zhao Tai asked, can we smash the stone platform? Bai Ji immediately shook her head. No. The platform is connected to the candidates beneath it. If we break it by force, the backlash will hit all 30 people. Luo Wence smiled. Correct. You cannot cut it. You cannot blow it apart. You cannot burn it. You can only distinguish them one by one. And the countdown has already begun. A countdown appeared above the stone platform. 300 breaths. About 5 minutes. They had to handle 30 people within 300 breaths. One person every 10 breaths. For Obsidian Village, this was almost an impossible task. But the 10-breath judgment in the observation cavity and the battlefield diversion method had been prepared precisely for this moment. Lin Yao did not retreat. He gave the order. Diversion array. Su Fang immediately opened the grain bag. Diversion wooden tags flew out. This time, they were no longer only divided into 5 categories. Instead, they unfolded according to the newest system of the second isolation shed. Withdrawal. Temporary name. Reversible L. Aphasia. Quiet name. Voluntary observation. High risk. Pending responsibility. Medical. Unknown. The wooden tags landed on the ground, forming an outer diversion ring against the silent formation. The embryonic Lord's sacrificial command flew up and hovered above the wooden tags. The token's light was not strong, but it was stable. Lin Yao said, "Fang Zhiyan, break the gag. Zhan, receive temporary names. Song Yuan, watch the reversible lifelines. By Ji and Guan, guard medical and high-risk cases. Zhao Tai and Liang Ping, suppress Luo Wence's interference. Su Fang, maintain the diversion." Everyone moved at once. Fang Zhiyan stood in front of the silent formation and closed his eyes. He could not break the gags of all 30 people at once. That would tear him apart. He could only use short counter-command phrases and cut through layer by layer. Names can be spoken. The black lines trembled. Refusal can be spoken. The black lines cracked slightly. Withdrawal can be spoken. Among the 30 people, several suddenly widened their eyes. Calls for help can be spoken. The first black line snapped. L14 sucked in a violent breath. He did not shout a military command. Instead, he shouted, "I don't want this." The moment those words emerged, the entire silent formation shook violently. Luo Wence's eyes turned slightly cold. The first one. Lin Yao immediately used the withdrawal register to catch him. L14 clearly refuses military command formation. Withdrawal is valid. Su Fang guided the withdrawal wooden tag toward L14. Bai Shi scattered heart-clearing grass powder. Half of the black lines on L14's body withdrew, and he was pulled into the withdrawal diversion outer ring. The countdown continued. 270 breaths. Song Yuan quickly watched the lifelines. L03 is reversible. L08 is high risk. L21 needs a temporary name. Zhan immediately ran toward L21's position. Fang Zhiyan cooperated and broke that person's gag. L21's lips trembled. The first thing he said was not a name. "I don't want to use my original name." Zhan immediately said, "You can choose not to. Take a temporary name yourself." That person cried as he said, "Stone Rain." The nameless register lit up. L21, temporary name Stone Rain. Refuses military command return to 0. Retains future rights to complete or change name. The temporary name wooden tag caught him. The second person broke away. Luo Wence raised his hand. The other black lines inside the silent formation began to thicken. He was accelerating. Fang Zhiyan let out a muffled groan. Blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. Zhan grew anxious. Fang Zhiyan. Fang Zhiyan wiped away the blood. Continue. Lin Yao looked at the countdown. 230 breaths. There was not enough time. If they saved people one by one, they would lose. They had to divide them by group. He remembered the diversion method in the observation cavity. The first step was not to completely save everyone. It was to mark their types first. Song Yuan, don't read the full lifelines. Judge only the direction. Song Yuan understood at once. Reversible. Temporary name. High risk. Forced. Voluntary observation. 5 types. Yes. Song Yuan closed his eyes. The stone beads flew up and scattered pale silver points of light toward the 30 people. 5 on the left ring are reversible. 3 on the right ring need temporary names. 4 in the rear ring are high risk and close to irreversible. 2 in the front ring are voluntary military command, but reject erasure. 6 in the center are under the heaviest forced silence. The rest are unknown. Su Fang immediately used the wooden tags to divide the zones quickly. Fang Zhiyan no longer broke gags blindly. He first broke the help-seeking mouths of the 6 people in the center. Calls for help can be spoken. Among the 6, 4 cried out at the same time. Save me. I withdraw. I didn't know it would become like this. Don't let me say that sentence. The withdrawal register shone brightly. Lin Yao recorded quickly. Central Forced Silence Group. 4 clearly withdraw. 2 aphasic, pending handling. The aphasia wooden tag caught the remaining 2. Bai Ji immediately brought Guan over to stabilize them. 180 breaths remained. 7 had been saved, and 6 had been marked. It was still not enough. Luo Wence finally moved. He raised his hand, and the black-gray core lit up. Military command candidates enter second silence. The black lines over the mouths of the 30 people extended into their throats. Fang Zhiyan's face instantly went pale. He is sealing their vocal cords. Once the second silence was complete, they would not merely be unable to speak. Even their desire to speak would be locked by the military command. Lin Yao raised the Lord's sacrificial command. Military command may not seal withdrawal. The token pressed down. But Luo Wence's black-gray core was stronger. The Lord's sacrificial command was only an embryo. It could not suppress a complete core. Zhao Tai roared and charged toward Luo Wence. Then we hit him. 2 L-series guards appeared in front of Luo Wence. Real L-series. Not projections. Zhao Tai and Liang Ping collided with them. Battle erupted. This time, the L-series guards were faster than before. They already carried the second version corrections. One specialized in attacking the openings that appeared when Zhao Tai turned his blade to the back. The other specifically forced Liang Ping's flank out of position. Luo Wence truly was learning Obsidian Village's battle methods. Zhao Tai was forced back 3 steps in a row. Damn it, they even know how to target us. Liang Ping clenched his teeth and filled the gap. Hold. Lin Yao knew they could not drag this out. He looked at the embryonic Lord's sacrificial command. Then he looked toward the remnant army sacrificial stone. Far away in Obsidian Village, the sacrificial stone seemed to sense this place. The draft of the 3 war soul professions lit faintly. Return banner war soldier. Name command scribe soul. Name guarding peace soul. This was precisely the battlefield the war soul altar was meant to face. Living people were having their names swallowed by military command. Names needed scribe souls to record them. Those who withdrew needed peace souls to guard their names. The defenders needed war soldiers to block military command. Lin Yao suddenly understood. The main flame of the war soul fire seed would not be born on a safe altar. It had to ignite on a battlefield like this. He raised his voice. Under the Obsidian banner, the 3 war soul professions. Those who return to the banner protect people without swallowing people. Those who command names record names without forging commands. Those who guard names soothe souls without erasing responsibility. Far away, the remnant army sacrificial stone in Obsidian village shook with a thunderous rumble. The scribe command fire left by Patience burned from within the peace soul inscription. Faint light rose from the starving dead tablet. The grain account wooden tags in the public account military granary trembled together. A strand of gray-white fire crossed the rule space of the third level and fell into the embryonic lord's sacrificial command. A system notification appeared. The three war soul professions respond. Scribe command fire, name guarding fire, and return banner fire are gathering. The embryonic main flame of the war soul fire seed has ignited. The token in Lin Yao's hand erupted with gray-white firelight. It was not a blazing flame. It was steady, like an ever-burning lamp in front of a memorial tablet. The firelight fell onto the silent formation of 30 people. The black lines began to burn. It was not burning the people. It was burning away the gagging command. Fang Zhiyan seized the chance and shouted his counter-command with all his strength. Names can be spoken. Zhan followed. Temporary names can stay. Lin Yao dropped the final sentence. Withdrawal is valid. For the first time, the silent formation of 30 people cracked fully open. The moment the ceiling black lines split, countless voices rang out from the depths of the entire third level. They were not orderly military commands. They were not unified slogans. They were human voices, chaotic, broken, trembling, and full of sobs. My name is Zhang Bai. I withdraw. I don't want erasure. I am not L09. I want to go back. I didn't know my name would be sealed. I don't want to say my original name. I want to use a temporary name. Where is my brother? Where is my brother? Once the voices multiplied, the orderly structure of the silent formation instantly collapsed. What Luo Wence wanted most was for 30 people to speak the same military command at the same time. What Lin Yao wanted was exactly for them to say different things. Difference meant that the people had not been completely swallowed by the formation. Chaos meant there was still a chance to save them. The embryonic main flame of the war soul fire seed burned inside the Lord's sacrificial command. It did not spread like ordinary fire. Instead, it fell bit by bit onto different diversion wooden tags. The withdrawal wooden tag ignited with gray-white fire. The temporary name wooden tag ignited with gray-white fire. The aphasia wooden tag ignited with gray-white fire. The reversible L wooden tag ignited with gray-white fire. The firelight stabilized the diversion array that had almost collapsed. Su Feng widened his eyes. He could feel his grain bag becoming very heavy. It was not because more things had been placed inside. It was because every wooden tag within it had been given a clearer responsibility. The battlefield diversion method was no longer only a temporary marking method. It was beginning to become part of the future war soul altar. A system notification appeared. The battlefield diversion method has received the main flame's blessing. Temporary diversion wooden tags have upgraded into embryonic war soul diversion tags. They can stabilize withdrawers, temporary name holders, reversible subjects, and high-risk subjects on mixed military command contamination battlefields. Su Feng had no time to be happy. He immediately shouted, "Listen to the wooden tags. Those who say withdrawal, go left. Those who need temporary names, go to the middle. Those who cannot speak, raise your hands. Those who are injured, look at Bai Ji. Those who still want to remain in military command, go to voluntary observation. You are not allowed near the core." Under the main flame's blessing, those words became clear and powerful. The rescued people began to move. Chaos still existed. But it was no longer out of control. Luo Wence watched the scene, and for the first time, his expression truly darkened. "You have dismantled a legion into a containment process," Lin Yao said, "because they were never a legion. They were people you stuffed into military command." Luo Wence raised his hand. The black-gray core spun violently. "Then let us see how far you can dismantle it." The remaining L-series guards and high-risk candidates who had not broken away activated at the same time. 5 of them were already close to complete formation. They did not shout withdrawal. They did not shout names. They did not ask for help. Instead, they directly drew short blades and charged toward the diversion array. Their target was not Lin Yao. It was the withdrawers. Luo Wence had begun using the L-series with higher completion levels to erase the wavering ones. Zhao Tai's rage exploded instantly. "How dare you!" He charged forward and smashed the frontmost L-series subject away with the back of his blade. But the second one circled around him and rushed straight at the man who had just shouted, "My name is Zhang Bai." Liang Ping filled the gap. His spear swept horizontally and forced the attacker back. Zhang Bai moved toward the withdrawal line. Zhang Bai trembled all over. He was the person on the B09 remnant tag, the one whose record contained only the character Jiang. The rat list had completed the name Zhang Bai. Now, he had shouted that name himself. The nameless register lit up. B09 name completion, Zhang Bai. Status, once transferred into L-series candidacy. Has now stated his own name and withdrawn from military command. The L number on Zhang Bai's chest cracked directly. Black energy rolled backward. He fell into the withdrawal diversion line and was caught by Bai Ji. If Zhou Mian had been present, she would certainly have cried. Because she had seen B09's broken tag. Now that broken character had finally been completed into a human name. When Luo Wence saw Zhang Bai break away, a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. A pity. It did not sound as if he pitied Zhang Bai's suffering. It sounded as if he regretted the failure of a sample. Lin Yao's register of responsibility opened. Luo Wence. B09, Zhang Bai. Once subject to numbering that concealed his name. Later transferred into L-series candidacy. His self-stated name and withdrawal will are established. You are responsible for numbering to conceal his name, military command conversion, and silent gagging. Light from the register of responsibility fell. The black-gray core beside Luo Wence trembled. This time, he was finally affected. Because Zhang Bai was not a vague case. There was the rat list. There was the B09 remnant tag. There was the self-statement at the scene. There was the act of withdrawal. The chain of responsibility was complete. Lin Yao seized that point and expanded it further. All who can state your own names, report names first. Those who cannot report original names, report temporary names. Those who cannot speak, raise your hands and enter the aphasia zone. Those who remain voluntarily in military command, leave the corps and enter voluntary observation. Those 4 sentences spread through the entire space under the blessing of the Lord's sacrificial command and the embryonic main flame. Among the 30 people, more and more began to break away. Lan Yuan was among them. She stood close to the stone platform, still holding a vial of medicine in her hand. She was not someone whose mouth had been completely sealed. The black lines over her lips were lighter, seemingly because she had originally been a healing support, not a military command main body. Jin had said that she had been brought in to stabilize contaminated subjects. At this moment, when she saw the evacuees falling into confusion, her first reaction was still to try to save people. Bai Ji noticed her immediately. Lan Yuan. Lan Yuan raised her head, her eyes wary. You know me? Lin Yao said, Zhan mentioned you. Lan Yuan's expression changed. He is still alive? Alive. In Obsidian Village's responsibility assignment area. Lan Yuan's expression became complicated. Someone like him was saved too? Lin Yao answered, saving someone is not the same as exempting responsibility. Lan Yuan looked at the chaotic crowd, then at Luo Wence. She tightened her grip on the vial. I am not his believer. I only wanted these people not to die during the conversion process. Bai Ji looked at the medicine in her hand. What is that? Stabilizer. Does it have side effects? Lan Yuan fell silent. It prolongs military command adaptation. Bai Ji's eyes turned cold. In other words, it helps them last until conversion is complete. Lan Yuan's face turned pale. If it is not used, they will die. Lin Yao said, now there is a third option. Enter the medical review area. You may save people, but the medicine must be sealed and reviewed. Lan Yuan looked at him. You trust me? Not completely, Lin Yao said. That is why there will be review. Lan Yuan suddenly smiled faintly. Better than Luo Wence. She handed the vial to Bai Ji. The medical wooden tag caught her. The register of responsibility recorded. Lan Yuan, healing-type player. Participated in the L-series stabilization process. Claims her purpose was to prevent death, but the stabilizer used prolongs military command adaptation. Requires medical review and responsibility determination. Lan Yuan did not refute it. She simply joined Bai Ji and began treating those who had fainted from the rupture of the gags. On the other side, the black-gray core beside Luo Wence began to destabilize. Half of the silent formation of 30 people had already been dismantled. 12 withdrawers. 5 temporary name holders. 3 aphasic subjects. 1 medical review subject. 4 voluntary observation subjects. 5 high-risk subjects were still suppressed by military command. The only ones truly close to complete L-series formation were the last 5. But those 5 were the most dangerous. They were no longer affected by ordinary withdrawal phrases. Song Yuan looked at the 5 and said in a heavy voice, their lifelines are almost wrapped completely by military command. They are not fully irreversible. But saving them now will cost a great deal. Lin Yao asked, what cost? Song Yuan looked at the main flame. We would have to use the newly ignited main flame of the War Soul Fire Seed to burn it. It may damage the fire seed. Bai Ji immediately said, if the main flame is damaged, the War Soul altar may fail to be built. Zhao Tai looked at Lin Yao. This was the choice. The War Soul altar, or the last 5 people. Luo Wence looked at Lin Yao, and a smile reappeared at the corner of his mouth. You see? Your rules are slow and expensive. Now, they will also consume the fire seed you need most. Lin Yao did not hesitate for long. He looked at the 5 people who had almost been wrapped entirely by military command. A fire seed can be nurtured again. Once people are swallowed, they may not return. The main flame on the embryonic lord's sacrificial command rose. Lin Yao ordered, burn the military command, not the people. The gray-white main flame separated into 5 strands and fell toward the last 5 high-risk L-series subjects. When the firelight touched the L numbers on their chests, it produced an ear-piercing sound. All 5 knelt in pain at the same time. Luo Wence's expression finally changed. Are you insane? You are using a newly ignited main flame to save 5 people who are almost irreversible? Lin Yao said, this is exactly where the War Soul Fire Seed should burn. Otherwise, why should it be called a main flame? The main flame burned. The 5L numbers cracked bit by bit. One of them lifted his head, his lips trembling. He did not say a name. He said only one word. Pain. That was enough. If he could say pain, then he was still not a tool. If he could feel his own pain, then he was still an individual. Zhan immediately rushed over. Then stay first. You can call yourself pain first if you need to. That person cried. The main flame brightened again. A system notification appeared. The main flame of the War Soul Fire Seed acknowledges, guarding names does not only mean guarding those who have already returned. It also means guarding those who are about to have their names swallowed. Main flame stability has dropped, then risen again. The main flame of the War Soul Fire Seed has formally taken shape. Everyone heard the notification at the same time. Bai Zhi let out a breath of relief. Song Yuan's eyes shook. Luo Wence's expression sank completely. He had bet that Lin Yao would not use the main flame to save people who were nearly irreversible. But Lin Yao had used it. And the third level had acknowledged it. The main flame of the War Soul Fire Seed had not taken shape because its strength was preserved. It had taken shape because, at the least profitable moment, it had still chosen to guard those who were about to be swallowed. At this moment, the most important fire of the War Soul altar truly ignited. After the main flame of the War Soul Fire Seed formally took shape, the rules in the depths of the third level began to tilt. They did not tilt completely toward Obsidian Village. But the Black Tide military command had lost its most crucial proof. Luo Wence wanted to prove that when people approached irreversibility, the cost of rescue became too high, and the most efficient choice was to recognize military command formation. But Lin Yao used the newly ignited main flame to save the last 5 people. The third level did not judge the Obsidian registers foolish. Instead, it acknowledged the core meaning of the main flame. Guarding names did not mean guarding only those who were easy to save. It also meant guarding those who were about to be swallowed. This caused the first crack to appear in Luo Wence's black-gray core. On the stone platform, the core let out a piercing tremor. The silent formation of 30 people no longer existed. Withdrawers, temporary name holders, aphasic subjects, voluntary observation subjects, medical review subjects, and high-risk rescue subjects were caught one by the diversion wooden tags. A few people whose consciousness remained chaotic were sent by Bai Zhi and Guan into a temporary quiet name circle. There were no spoken commands inside the quiet name circle. Only wooden tags. You can choose not to speak yet. You are still here. Do not listen to erasure. This was the low stimulation method proposed by Fang Zhiyan. At this moment, it saved many people who had been tortured by sound until they nearly collapsed. Luo Wence watched everything, and there was no longer any smile on his face. Do you know what you have done? Lin Yao looked at him. Dismantled your army. No. Luo Wence's eyes were icy. You have built an extremely high-cost human preservation method. It will drag you down. Every withdrawer will require later placement. Every temporary name holder will require long-term tracking. Every high-risk subject will consume the main flame. Every responsibility record will require someone to write it. Lin Yao, the more you save, the heavier Obsidian Village becomes. Lin Yao did not deny it. Yes. Luo Wence's eyes shifted slightly. Lin Yao continued. That is why I am building a territory. Not an army that only executes orders. A territory is meant to be heavy. People being alive is meant to be heavy. What you want is a weightless military command. That is not the future. That is only escape. Luo Wence fell silent for a moment. The cracks in the black-gray core deepened. The register of responsibility, the withdrawal register, the nameless register, the Lord's sacrificial command, and the war soul main flame all lit up at once. Lin Yao began the final determination. Luo Wence, external agreement participant of the second research group, lead designer of the Black Tide Military Command Carrier experiment, lead designer of the B-series numbering and name concealment experiment, designer of the R-series recovery erasure units, lead designer of the L-series living military command army formation experiment, user of remnant army sacrificial stone fragments to stabilize military command frequency, inducement, gagging, silence, backup erasure, irreversible military command, and living person nameless conversion. Responsibility is established. Every line that landed made the black-gray core crack further. Luo Wence's body also began to destabilize. His high synchronization state, half game and half reality, was being forcibly pulled back into specific responsibility by the register of responsibility. For him, that was extremely deadly. Because he had always wanted to turn himself into an idea. Adaptation. Evolution. New army. Future. But Lin Yao wrote him back into a person who had done specific things. Who did it? What was done? What harm was caused, and to whom? Where the responsibility lay. Ideas can drift. Responsibility cannot. For the first time, Luo Wence's face turned pale. You think this will end it? He raised his hand and pressed it toward the black-gray core. The L-series data has already synchronized. Someone in the second research group will continue. The hidden families will study it. The Shin family will trade it. Other countries, other divine domains, will also have their own military command plans. You cannot stop it. Lin Yao said, that is why another record must be left here. He raised the Lord's sacrificial command. Third level. Record the Obsidian 4 principles. Record the right of temporary name. Record that withdrawal is valid. Record the battlefield diversion method. Record the war soul main flame. Guarding names does not only mean guarding those who have already returned, but also those who are about to have their names swallowed. The depths of the third level shook. Words appeared on the gray-white stone platform. Rule record request established. Black Tide Military Command counterproof failed. Living Military Command Army formation incomplete. The Obsidian registers have obtained low-level rule recording rights in the third level. The main flame of the War Soul Fire Seed has been acknowledged. Generated, Altar Foundation Stone. Beneath the stone platform, a piece of gray-white stone slowly rose. It was not heavy and sorrowful like the remnant army sacrificial stone. Nor was it cold and hard like the black-gray core. Its surface was covered in fine patterns. Register patterns. Withdrawal patterns. Diversion patterns. War Soul Fire patterns. This was the War Soul Altar Foundation Stone. The final key material for the War Soul Altar had appeared. But Luo Wence would never let Lin Yao take it away easily. He suddenly thrust his hand into the crack of the black-gray core. Since it cannot become an army, then let it become a problem. The black-gray core swelled violently. Song Yuan's expression changed drastically. He is trying to contaminate the foundation stone. Luo Wence was actually trying, before his failure, to pour the Black Tide Military Command residue into the newly generated altar foundation stone. If he succeeded, the future War Soul altar would carry a hidden danger from the Black Tide Military Command. Lin Yao immediately drove the main flame. But Luo Wence was closer to the core. Black energy had already rushed toward the foundation stone. At that moment, one of the 30 rescued people rushed out. Zhang Bai. His body was still weak, and the cracks in the number on his chest had not faded. But he threw himself toward the black energy and pressed both hands in front of the foundation stone. My name is Zhang Bai. Not B09. Not an L candidate. I withdraw. His voice was weak. But it stopped the black energy for an instant. Immediately after him, Gray Road, Stone Rain, Blue Sky, Broken Wood, Evening Tide, and the other temporary name holders rushed forward as well. Temporary names can stay. They do not return to zero. The withdrawers shouted after them. Withdrawal is valid. The aphasic subjects could not speak, so they raised wooden tags. Do not erase. I am still here. Lin Yuan smashed the stabilizer on the ground. I will no longer stabilize military command for you. The 30 people were not a legion. They were chaotic. Their voices did not align. Some shouted the wrong words. Some cried. Some only held up tags. But precisely because of that, the Black Tide Military Command could not arrange them into one sentence. They used their own inconsistency to block Luo Wence's final contamination. Lin Yao seized the chance. The War Soul main flame fell. The Lord's sacrificial command pressed down on the black-gray core. The final stroke of the Register of Responsibility landed. Luo Wence's living military command core is broken. Boom! The black-gray core collapsed. Luo Wence's high synchronization body was blasted backward. His half-transparent figure began to shatter. But he did not disappear completely. Before his disintegration, he looked at Lin Yao, and there was still a trace of fanaticism in his eyes. Good. Lin Yao. You have proven that your rules can live. Then next time, I will bring a larger battlefield. The old Salt Road was only 30 people. What about reality? What about a city? What about a country? He smiled. How long can you keep recording them one by one? When his words fell, Luo Wence's figure shattered. It was not death. It was a high synchronization disconnection. A system notification appeared. Luo Wence's high synchronization body has been defeated. The L-Series Living Military Command Corps has collapsed. The old Salt Road Living Nameless Army plan has been terminated. The altar foundation stone has been generated. The core conditions for constructing the War Soul altar have been completed. Lin Yao did not relax. Luo Wence's final question still echoed in his ears. What about a city? What about a country? The answer of the Obsidian registers was still far from enough. But at least today, 30 people had not become a living nameless army. Today, Obsidian Village had brought back the most important fire in stone of the second season. When the altar foundation stone was brought back to Obsidian Village, the sky had already brightened. This had been the longest night since the beginning of the second season. From the old Salt Road evacuation battle, to the late-night real-world visit, to the 48-hour countdown, the sound calibration room, the depths of the third level, the silent formation of 30 people, the first ignition of the War Soul main flame, and finally the collapse of the core. Everyone was so exhausted they could barely stand. But when that gray-white foundation stone appeared at Obsidian Village's south gate, the entire village still felt quiet. It was not cheering. It was awe. Because they could all feel that this stone was different from the Remnant Army sacrificial stone. The Remnant Army sacrificial stone carried the souls of the past who had not returned. The foundation stone carried the new rules that had just been established. One stone recorded loss. One stone established law. Only together did they have the qualification to support the War Soul altar. Uncle Joe brought people forward to check the materials. Remnant Army sacrificial stone. Scribe command fire. Peace Soul Inscription. Embryonic Lord's Sacrificial Command. Main Flame of the War Soul Fire Seed. Altar Foundation Stone. Every time he named one item, the corresponding object lit faintly. When all 6 items were complete, a system notification rang out. The core conditions for the War Soul Altar have been completed. Build the War Soul Altar? Lin Yao did not choose immediately. He looked at everyone. Gao Mu stood beneath the obsidian banner. Zhao Tai was covered in wounds, but he stood straight. Su Fang held the diversion grain bag that had become heavy in his arms. Fang Zhiyan had medicine cloth wrapped around his throat, but he still stood beside the withdrawers. Zhan sat outside the temporary name area, confirming that Grey Road, Stone Rain, and the others were not being affected by residual return to zero commands. Zhou Mian watched Zhang by being written into the name completion page of the nameless register, her eyes reddened. Xiong Jian, Duli, Gao Jun, Luo, Lan Yuan, the rat Luo Shu, and even He Jin all watched this scene from their respective isolation or responsibility assignment positions. They were not the same kind of people. There were victims. There were collaborators. There were intermediaries. There were people who needed responsibility assignment. There were people who still could not be trusted for now. But at this moment, they all became witnesses to the establishment of the War Soul Altar. Lin Yao spoke. The War Soul Altar will not use defeated armies as material. It will not use the dead as steps. It will not use living people as military command tools. This altar stands on registers, responsibility records, withdrawal, temporary names, diversion, and peace for souls. Return banner war soldiers protect people without swallowing people. Name command scribe souls record names without forging commands. Name guarding peace souls soothe souls without erasing responsibility. By this, the altar is established. He chose to build it. The remnant army sacrificial stone fell into the center of the foundation. The peace soul inscription turned into a ring of gray-white words that circled the base of the altar. The scribe command fire flew into the lamp position on the left. The main flame of the War Soul fire seed fell into the central fire trough. The embryonic Lord's sacrificial command hovered above the altar. The shadow of the obsidian banner cast a dark red banner light downward. The starving dead tablet, the public account military granary, the black tide purification office, and the second isolation shed all formed faint connections with the altar. The War Soul altar was not an isolated building. It connected to every system Obsidian village had built along the way. Flame rose. It was not a fierce blaze shooting into the sky. It was a stable, gray-white, heavy flame that did not go out. A system notification appeared. War Soul Altar construction complete. Territory building, War Soul Altar. Core 3 professions, Return Banner War Soldier, Name Command Scribe Soul, Name Guarding Peace Soul. Connected, Peace Soul Inscription, Nameless Register, Withdrawal Register, Register of Responsibility, Battlefield Diversion Method. Effect 1, can house the War Soul Fire Seed and awaken War Souls willing to return. Effect 2, can resist Black Tide false armies and living military command contamination. Effect 3, can provide War Soul diversion support on mixed contamination battlefields. Effect 4, can stabilize temporary name holders, withdrawers, aphasic subjects, and reversible L-series subjects. Warning, after the War Soul Altar is established, Obsidian Village will be marked by higher-level Black Tide forces and real-world powers. Territory rank increased. Obsidian Village has become Obsidian Town. The entire Obsidian Village trembled. The words on the wooden plaque at the village entrance began to change. Obsidian Village slowly became Obsidian Town. All the villagers froze. In the next moment, a low cheer rose through the territory. It was not wild celebration. It was the sound of a breath finally released after being held back for far too long. In the first season, they raised the banner and became a true village. In the second season, they raised the altar and became a town. This meant that the Obsidian territory had truly entered the next stage. Cao Mu looked at the War Soul altar and remained silent for a long time. Then he knelt on one knee. He was not kneeling to Lin Yao. He was kneeling to the altar. Cao Mu, old soldier of Blackstone, is willing to witness the Obsidian return banner War Souls. From within the remnant army sacrificial stone came a low response. Patient's scribe command fire lit up. A blurred figure appeared in the fire. The scribe command soldier Pei Shen became the first embryonic name command scribe soul. Sun Era's dry grain-colored faint light also appeared beside the altar. He was not a war soldier. But his merit in transporting grain was received by the name-guarding peace soul profession. Lin Xiaowan's red cord light drifted lightly upward and fell into the nameless supplement position. Chao Zhuang's gray military command light also lit briefly at the return banner war soldier position. None of them had fully revived. But they had positions. Having a position was the first step of the war soul altar. Fang Zhiyan watched the scene, his eyes wet. Zhan said quietly, "They have positions now." Fang Zhiyan nodded. "So do we." Far away in the real-world safe house, after Lin Yao logged out, the metal box suddenly lit up. This time, it was not only the shadow of a token. A miniature altar projection briefly appeared on the table. A gray-white flame burned for one breath, then quickly withdrew. His phone vibrated wildly. "Qin 1. Did you succeed?" "Chen Shu. The second research group has fully upgraded your risk level." "Yi Jiwei. That is not contamination. That is a building-level rule projection. What exactly did you build inside the game?" Another unfamiliar message appeared. There was no number. Only one sentence. "The Song family has witnessed the establishment of the Obsidian Rule Altar. Congratulations, Lord Lin." Finally, Luo Wence's message also appeared. "Obsidian Town. Very good. Next time, we meet in reality." Lin Yao looked at the phone screen, and his gaze sank. The second season was over. The War Soul altar had been raised. Obsidian Village had become Obsidian Town. But the door to reality had also been completely opened. The third season would no longer be only a war inside the game. Reality's descent had officially begun.